find all this blogging and video blogging and biographing, documenting, rather bourgeois and egocentric, but it seems like if you're going to work this hard to make your mark in your life, there's at least going to be one person that's going to want to know where you're coming from or where you came from and what your story is. So I figured that the easiest and, well, let's be fair, funnest way to do it would be through video blogs. So I am Paisley Joshua Spurs Yankolovich, and to the best of my memory, this will be my biography. Now children, if you're watching this, it means Daddy died. No, that's what it feels like. Wow, that's what it feels. That's what I thought. That's why I was afraid of doing all this. I was like, I'm leaving everything behind. It's a bad feeling. But if the church gets raptured, then it's worth it. So, well, I was born March 1st, 1963. I was born Daniel Robert Glickman. My parents, let's see, my dad was a Beverly Hills trial lawyer, and my mom was his wife. And today, at the filming of this, my mom has passed away several years ago. My dad is still alive and remarried, and I have two older brothers. And let's see, we grew up. I was born in Van Nuys, California, but we lived my entire childhood in Encino, California. I like to brag that we were the original Valley kids. We were the generation that gave the world Valley Speak. Moon Unit Zappa lived very close to where I grew up. And the Sherman Oaks Galleria, we were there for the grand opening, and we were what was called a Reformed Jewish family, which means we went to temple on high holy days, means we all got bar mitzvahed and confirmed, but we didn't keep any traditions really throughout the year, except my dad was scary crazy about making us have Passover Seder, no matter how miserable it made all of us. And my parents were what my friends would have called wealthy. We grew up well. We never lacked for anything of material needs and possessions. We had a nice house. We had a German Shepherd mix named Empress, a fat gray cat called Vince, and we were pretty much allowed to have everything and do everything we could possibly want. My brothers were more sports inclined. I was the one that was selected last for everything in gym, and I gravitated to music at a very early age. I was trying to remember today what my earliest memory would be, but according to my mom, my first words were downtown. I don't believe this story, but I think it's a great story nonetheless, that there's this little baby in a crib, and every time 2 o'clock was about to say it, a head would pop out and go, downtown. I don't believe it. I don't believe it. I've never even checked to see what year that song actually came out. I know that my first memory of music in the house was the Beatles, and but my dad had 8 tracks. He had 8 tracks. Burt Bacharach, Dionne Warwick. There was Herbie Albert and the Tijuana Brass, and oh gosh, remember Three Dog Night, Blood, Sweat, and Tears, and I definitely always gravitated to anything that had more of a beat, more noise. I remember we took a trip as kids to Mexico, and I bought a marionette, and I insisted that my parents let me buy a record of Spanish music to play with the marionette, so I could make it look like the marionette was singing these songs. And again, the urban legend is that I knew all the words to the songs on the Spanish record. I don't know. I like the urban legends about me that make me seem like a child prodigy. I started piano at an incredibly young age and was doing concerts at an incredibly young age, being classically trained by a German teacher. Gosh, I remember, I was thinking today, I was like, how much am I going to remember of my youth? My kindergarten teacher was Mrs. Tumbler, my first grade teacher was Mrs. Cushman, my second grade teacher was Mrs. Brandt, my third grade teacher was Mrs. Morton, my fourth grade teacher was Mrs. Mantell, my fifth grade teacher was Kanovitz, and my sixth grade teacher was Mr. Decker. I have more clarity of those 6 years of life than I think of the last 6 years of life. I still talk to many of the kids that I went to school with, but that's because of Facebook, not because we're friends. And and I don't remember much from the really early years. I mean, I remember when Judy Meltzer called Mrs. Tumbler a bitch in kindergarten and got expelled. That was a great day. And I remember directing my first play in the second grade, A Poem for Babs, starring Susan Goldstein, and us being able to tour other schools with it because we were so amazing. And I remember playing the Carpenter song Sing at my sixth grade graduation on the piano, and Simon and Garfunkel's Sounds of Silence at every single talent show, because that was the only thing I felt comfortable enough playing in front of the whole school, because even back then I was pretty much picked on quite a bit for being so strange and different and, in my opinion, special and brilliant, of course. What I remember of the religious background back then was that I liked the music and hated the talking. I don't think anything has changed since then. And it's like, what is essential information at this point? I started playing piano, I believe, you know, right around 5 or 6. I was classically trained by a German, a Nazi, Lottie Coleman, and she taught me everything I know about music, I believe. And in my early youth, I taught myself how to play guitar and saw that I could carry it around with me, and that's when I started writing songs. I had piano lessons, guitar lessons, I had flute lessons, I had dance lessons, and when I was very young, I went to a birthday party at a place called Storybook Playhouse. The Storybook Playhouse was a theater that performed plays for little kids, and after the plays, the actors from the plays would serve the ice cream and cake, and I thought that was the coolest thing in the world, that I got to hang out with the stars. And I went home and I told my parents, I said, I have to go to Storybook Playhouse, and I was too young to go to Storybook Playhouse. So I think what actually happened was my mom made a really big donation. And suddenly I wasn't too young to go to Storybook Playhouse, but I went and nobody liked me. But it was great. Melanie Griffith was an alumni from Storybook Playhouse, and yeah, I missed meeting Tippi Hedren by one day. That's what I heard, one day. If you had just come yesterday, that was Melanie's last day, and it was a great experience because we had acting lessons during the week. And they consisted of teaching us kids improvisation, and you know, as an adult, I know how invaluable that training was. I need a break.